Good evening and welcome to California Today. I'm David Lamb. Let's take a look at today's stories. The cause of last year's Dixie Fire has been revealed. Officials said a tree fell on an electrical line, igniting the fire. An Alameda Sheriff's recruit was shot in his car while returning to his home in San Francisco. The Alameda County Sheriff honored the late recruit. On Tuesday, fire officials announced the cause of one of the largest fires in California's history. The Dixie Fire ignited from a tree touching a power line. NTD's Eileen Ang brings us more.
Cal Fire investigators announced on January 4th that a tree touching a power line caused the state's second largest ever wildfire last summer. Officials said a tree fell on an electrical line owned by Pacific Gas and Electric Company, or PG&E. In a statement, a PG&E spokesperson said, "Regardless of today's finding, we will continue to be tenacious in our efforts to stop fire ignitions from our equipment and to ensure that everyone and everything is always safe." The Dixie Fire started on July 13th and burned over 960,000 acres. Fire responders fully contained the blaze on October 25th. During a public statement on July 21st, about a week after the Dixie Fire started, PG&E said they will bury 10,000 miles of lines, including other mitigations, as part of the company's 2021 wildfire mitigation plan. Eileen Ang, NTD News, California.
An Alameda County Sheriff's recruit was fatally shot while driving home in his car on Tuesday. He was honored with a law enforcement procession on Tuesday evening. NTD's Jason Blair has more.
Around 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, a recruit for the Alameda County Sheriff was driving to his home in San Francisco when he was shot in his car, causing him to crash. The California Highway Patrol says that after he was shot, he veered the car to the left and crashed. First responders transported him to Highland Hospital, where he later died from his injuries. The Alameda County Sheriff's Office released his name and photos Wednesday afternoon. David V. Nguyen was 28 years old. He had been hired in July as part of the 172nd Academy and was set to graduate in February. Nguyen was not in uniform at the time of the shooting and was driving his own unmarked car. At this time, the sheriff's office says it's unknown yet whether it was a random incident or targeted. The California Highway Patrol is conducting an ongoing investigation, and so far no arrests have been made. Jason Blair, NTD News, California.
The Oakland Police Department said they received at least 24 firearms in 3 days between December 31st and January 2nd. The firearms were recovered during high-risk enforcement stops and shot spotter activations. In 2021, the police department recovered 1,200 firearms. In San Francisco, 2 people were arrested in connection with a series of bank robberies in the city that started on October 20th. A suspect would enter a bank, hand a teller a threatening note, and demand money. The tellers would comply and the suspect would leave with the money. The 2 suspects have been booked into San Francisco County Jail. As students return to the classroom, several school districts are implementing new COVID rules. Districts are increasing strictness in response to the Omicron variant.
The Los Angeles Unified School District announced on Monday it will require all students and staff to have a negative COVID test result to return to school after winter break. A spokesperson said they must get it before January 11th. In the Bay Area, the San Francisco Unified School District returned to masking indoors. The district is not requiring testing, but it did receive a shipment of rapid tests from the state on Tuesday.
We are recommending that everybody get tested before returning to school. However, we are not requiring it. Testing is just one of a number of layers of protection that we have in place to keep schools safe.
According to the teachers union, over 600 San Francisco teachers called in sick on Tuesday, accounting for about 20% of the educators in the area. Near San Francisco, the West Contra Costa Unified School District will require all staff and employees to wear KN95 masks starting January 10th.
We got a commitment this morning that N95 masks would be delivered starting today to each school site, and that there is a supply that is worth 10 days for each member.
The district will provide the masks for its 3,000 employees. Each employee will be given 1 a week for the rest of the school year.
But it's only for staff. There's no commitment as to yet about whether or not granting access for these high-quality masks to students.
While the district isn't requiring that specific mask for students, it did send about 15,000 test kits to families on January 2nd, before in-person classes started the next day.
We went to Walgreens and CVS, about 10 locations, and they are completely out.
Since the surge in Omicron cases in the state, people are finding it difficult to get COVID test kits.
Earlier today, health officials extended the statewide indoor mask mandate to February 15th. It was originally going to expire January 15th. Everyone is required to wear a mask in all indoor public settings, regardless of vaccination status. The recent rise in smash and grab theft has taken a toll on residents. State lawmakers have introduced two new bills that seek to address both the state's controversial Proposition 47 and rising theft. NTD's Cynthia Kai has the details.
Two new bills have been introduced that would address California's Proposition 47. Prop 47, passed by voters in 2014, allows criminals to steal up to $950 before being charged with a felony. The law was created as a way to reclassify some non-violent crimes from felonies to misdemeanors.
Well, what we're seeing in California is just absolutely unacceptable. We've seen, essentially the legalization of crime in that people can steal all kinds of apparel, can go into stores, can rob them in broad daylight, and there's no real consequence associated with it. And so it's produced this epidemic of retail theft.
However, Democratic Assemblymember Rudy Salas introduced AB 1603 on Monday. The bill seeks to reduce the amount a suspect can steal before facing a felony from $950 to $400, the original threshold. Salas said in a Tuesday statement, "Enough is enough. We need to fight back against the criminals who are stealing from our communities."
Well, that'd be better if the threshold was lower, but I think that we just need to get rid of the proposition altogether.
Similarly, a group of Republican lawmakers introduced AB 1599. The bill's lead authors, Assembly members Kevin Kiley, James Gallagher, and Jim Patterson, introduced the bill on Monday, seeking to repeal Prop 47 completely.
Before, you could charge these things either as a misdemeanor or as a felony. So, if there's something under $450, maybe in some circumstances that shouldn't be charged as a felony, it should be charged as a misdemeanor, but the prosecutor still needs to have that option to have an effective deterrent.
The lawmakers introduced both bills on Monday. If either one makes it through the legislature, it will need a majority vote from Californians on the upcoming ballot to become law. Cynthia Kai, NTD News, California.
Landowners of a long-standing San Jose flea market recently paid the city to keep the market open. It will stay open for 2 more years after facing risk of closure last year. I spoke to people in San Jose about the closure. As part of an agreement with the city of San Jose, the landowner of the Berryessa flea market wired the first installment of $500,000 out of $5 million to the city, according to local news San Jose Spotlight. The Bum family wired the funds a few days before the January 1st deadline, part of an agreement to help support vendors prepare for the flea market's closure. Under the Berryessa Urban Village Area Plan, there would be more housing and offices to support the nearby rail station. The City Council unanimously approved the plan in June last year. The plan includes allocating $7.5 million to help transition the vendors out of their current locations. Home to over 400 vendors, the 61-year-old market has been a staple of culture in Silicon Valley. Locals visit for a variety of cultural merchandise, handcrafted goods, and food.
We gone there for groceries. They have like a farmer's market and like fresh vegetables and stuff. So we usually go there for that.
Customers shared their concern for the vendors.
Yeah, that sounds quite terrible, especially for the small vendors. Because I can tell in this type of place, the cost of living is extremely high and everyone's trying to do their best to get past to make a living.
I mean, I feel like they should keep it still because, people love the flea market. So, you know what I'm saying? I feel like they should keep it.
The agreement allows the flea market to stay open until at least July 2024. David Lamb, NTD News, California. The annual Grammy Awards is known as music's biggest night, but this year the celebrations are being postponed. Organizers cite increasing CCP virus, also known as COVID-19, cases throughout the state.
The Recording Academy announced Wednesday the 2022 Grammy Awards have been postponed, citing a surge in COVID-19 cases in Los Angeles. The 64th annual awards ceremony was scheduled for January 31st at the newly named Crypto.com Arena, formerly known as Staples Center, in downtown Los Angeles. The Recording Academy said in a statement that there are too many risks and looks forward to celebrating on a future date to be announced soon. The 2021 Grammy Awards were held on March 14, 2021, following with COVID-19 guidelines and social distancing.
Now to NTD's Thomas Christian for an update on sports.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup. LeBron James and Malik Monk combined for 55 points, including 5 three-pointers in a fourth-quarter rally that allowed the host Los Angeles Lakers to overtake the Sacramento Kings last night. James finished with a game-high 31 points, and Monk added 24 as the Lakers won a third straight to open a 5-game homestand. De'Aaron Fox scored a team-high 30 points, and Buddy Hield tallied 26 for the Kings, who lost for just the second time in their last 5 games. The Lakers trailed 96-89 with 8:11 remaining before riding 14 points from James and 11 from Monk in a 33-18 finish. James hit a pair of three-pointers and Monk 3 more as part of the flurry. After James and Hield had split 4 consecutive lead-changing three-pointers, Monk and Tyrese Halliburton exchanged 2-point hoops. Monk gave the Lakers the lead for good, 112-110, with a three-pointer, 2:50 to go. Lakers 122, Kings 114. 22-year-old running back Cam Akers is rumored to make his season debut this Sunday in the final week of the regular season for the Los Angeles Rams. Akers has missed the whole season so far with an Achilles injury, but was technically listed as questionable in Week 17 for the Rams. Last season, Akers burst onto the scene in the middle of LA's season, seizing the starting running back role and not looking back. Now in 2022, Akers faces steeper competition for the starting spot, with Sony Michel playing quite well recently. Akers may not have any instant impact this week, but it can be seen as a warm-up as the LA Rams look to start the postseason with a bit more depth at the running back position. Troy Terry scored a pair of goals in the opening 10 minutes and finished off his first career hat trick in the closing seconds as the Anaheim Ducks ended a 4-game losing streak with a victory Tuesday over the visiting Philadelphia Flyers. Sonny Milano added a goal and John Gibson had 28 saves for Anaheim, which won for the first time since December 15th. Cam Atkinson scored a goal and Carter Hart had 26 saves as Philadelphia ended a 4-game West Coast road trip with a 1-2-1 record. The Ducks had their own COVID issues Monday as practice was canceled after forwards Nicolas Deslauriers and Derek Grant, as well as a staff member, were placed into protocol. The Ducks also have 2 of their top 4 point leaders, Ryan Getzlaf and Trevor Zegras, in the protocol. Ducks 4, Flyers 1. Tyler Bertuzzi and Pia Suter each scored 2 goals to lead Detroit to a home win over San Jose. Dylan Larkin and Robbie Fabry also scored for Detroit, which snapped a 2-game home losing streak. Alex Nedeljkovic stopped 24 shots for the Red Wings. Jasper Weatherby and Alexander Barabanov scored for San Jose, which dropped its second straight. Sharks goalie James Reimer was pulled after allowing 4 goals and 24 shots over the first 2 periods. Adin Hill surrendered 2 goals on 7 shots in the third. Red Wings 6, Sharks 2. As always, I'm Thomas Christian, and thanks for tuning in.
And that's all for tonight. You can join us again on California Today every weekday at 8 p.m. If you have any news tips or ideas for our show, feel free to let us know. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook. I'm David Lamb. Have a wonderful evening.